Hello guys, can you see me alright? Let me move this back just a hair. It's me, the wombat. I am in a different area tonight. Mrs. Wombat is currently resting. She doesn't get a lot of sleep, but she's goes in cycles, but she's able to sleep now. I was trying to go live with my computer. That wasn't working. I came out to the garage to go live with my phone. That wasn't working either. So I'm just going to do this video. And this is going to be a fun one. I know we've been doing lots of technical stuff. Yeah, you could call it technical, learning the names of the strings and where your fingers go and different stuff like that. And also learning about reading music. We started getting to some theory last time about major scales, finding the notes on the scale, and different things like that. We'll be talking about major scale tones a little bit tonight, but I want to do something kind of fun. And this is kind of the real reason why a lot of people, including me, picked up the guitar, because we want to learn how to play songs. We want to learn how to play things we hear on the radio, things that our friends are playing, and a lot of us who pick up the guitar are into rock and or metal and or other stuff that's related to that. Just getting a quick drink. I still have a little bit of something going on, so I apologize for sounding kind of odd and if my voice kind of cracks. It's a little dry. But I thought we'd do something really super basic, but super fun and super cool all at the same time. So anyways, what we're going to talk about tonight is power chords. Yeah! Oh, power chords. Most people, whenever you listen to rock music, a lot of times they're playing what is referred to as power chords. And I forgot my Sharpie. Not my Sharpie, but my dry erase. I will be right back. See, this head cold thing is kind of throwing me off a little bit. I will return. Don't go away. Don't go anywhere. Please don't go anywhere. Please, please, please don't go anywhere. Alrighty. I am right behind the camera, and there's not a lot of room, so I'm trying not to bump the camera, and I apologize if I do. Got motorcycles and guitars and all kinds of stuff out here right now. It's just kind of what it is. You just make do, right? So anyways, like I was saying, power chords, if you can read this, is a chord that takes, and we talked about last time when we wrote out the major scale, you have your chord tones. Whatever the name of the chord is, like we talked about the G chord, the C chord, the D chord. I think we either covered either A minor or E minor. I don't remember which of those two. I know we did one, maybe both. I don't really remember right now. It seems like it's been so far away. And we will be getting back to other chords. This is just kind of a fun thing because honestly, I have a little bit of a headache and I'm kind of frustrated that my internet's not working the way it should. So, real quick, power chords. They consist of I can't even talk right now. They usually consist of just two notes, which is the root and the fifth. And when we talked about it before, like you have your major scale. Remember we talked about that, the whole and half system. Let's see if I got room to write on here. Well, you already know we're talking about power chords. So let me go ahead and find something that I can erase the word power chords so I can show you a little bit better what I'm talking about. All right, we can erase this power chords. I didn't need to be writing it that big anyways, but I was just super excited to be talking about power chords. Power chords are the chords that we play when we want to just drown out the drummer and the singer and whoever else we're playing with, impress our friends, impress our neighbors, or upset the neighbors. My neighbors are cool. They don't mind, but I usually keep the doors closed and stuff and keep it down to a relatively decent volume. Okay, so anyways, we were talking about, I'm tripping over stuff here. I'm tripping, son. I am tripping. So anyways, we were talking about the whole, half, whole, whole, half on the major scale. Okay, you guys see that all right? Yeah, you guys can see it. And what the W stands for whole, a whole step, and the H's stand for half steps. And we talked about each one of these frets, the wires on the neck of the guitar, count as a half a step, and 2 frets count as a whole step. So, and I only did just part of the neck, E, which is a 6th string. Can't really see it too well, can you? Let me bring the camera closer. Okay, there we go. You've got the E string, the A string, the D string, and the G string. We also have the B and the E. I left these off just to show you guys that these notes that are here, these are the same strings that are on a bass, just in the octave lower. So we're going to be covering some bass stuff tonight as well. I can show you that on the guitar. But like I wrote right here, your power chord consists of, you first find the root, and then you go over one string and then up. When we think about going closer to the body as being up, it's not down the neck. Down the neck is going up towards the nut, which is confusing. Going towards the body is going up because you're going up in pitch. So, like I was saying, for starters, and I'll use the blue pin so you can see the difference. Okay. Our first note here, the whole note, will be the root. So we'll start with E because that's our lowest string. And I can show you how to play an open power chord. So you go a whole step, and remember before we go, there's only, the notes are ranged from A to G, and then they repeat again. And again, you'll never see the same letter next to another one. Each letter will be represented. Sometimes it's shown with a sharp or a flat. So anyways, continuing on, we go our whole step. Remember, we go E, next one is F, and then F sharp. It goes F and then F sharp. So we know this here is going to be an F sharp, which will be the 2nd degree. That's the 1st degree. And then we go half a step. Did I mess myself up? I think I just messed myself up. No, that's right. Oh, yeah, I'm messing myself up right here. I'm thinking this is a half. So we got to go another whole step. So we go, so from F sharp, you go G, and then G sharp. So this is this space here. This is the space here. Yeah, from here to here's a whole step. From here to the G sharp. Let me rewrite that a little better. It's kind of sloppy. Okay, let me write out the letters first. That'd probably be better. We know we're going to start on G, or E rather, E as in Edward. So we go E. Then we go F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. This is always a good practice to get into writing the letters first, and then that won't confuse you as much. So then, when we look at the distance in spaces, let me use this other marker here. We know that on our major scale, we talked before, it goes, the intervals, which is the spaces between the 2 notes, is whole, and then another whole space, and then this is a half, and then it goes whole, 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 and then half. Easy to remember it is 2 wholes, half, then 3 wholes, and then half. And then it repeats again. So we've got these notes here. let me get out the guitar. Since we're out here in the garage, I can play my electric. So you guys go, when is that electric coming out? Well, it's coming out tonight. So, let's make sure we got volume here. Sometimes that E goes out of tune just a hair. So what we'll do, let me drop the volume off just a little bit here. So you've got E is open, then you go count down. You go 1, 2. So that's our whole step. That's an F. So we know that's going to be an F sharp. Alright. So we know this note here will be an F sharp. So then we go a whole step again. We go from the F sharp. Then we go G, G sharp. So we know this G is going to be sharpened. And we talked before, when the notes go up, they get sharpened. When they go down, they get flatted. So, okay, the next is a half step. So we just go 1 fret. That's an A. So it doesn't get sharpened or flattened. It still remains A. Then you go a whole step. So it goes A sharp, B. So the B stays the same. Nothing happens to that. And then from the B, we have a whole step. 2 frets again. So you go B, and then 1 is C, and then so you have C sharp now. Okay, so you have C sharp, and then you go from there, you go, we've got a whole step here, again 2 frets, so it goes 1, 2, so it's D sharp. And then you go half a step to finish off the scale. And then it takes us to our octave of E. So now, put the cap on this thing so it doesn't dry out like my other ones did. So playing the E major scale on just the 6th string, and I'll play it slowly. You have E, F, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. Okay, and we're talking about power chords, and power chords is the root and the 5th. And what's fun about these chords is they're super simple to play, and at the same time, you don't have to worry about if it's a major or a minor. Remember we talked a little bit before about when you see a chord that just has, like, well since we're talking about E, we'll just put it up here. You have E, and then you have E minor. Okay, this is an E major chord, this is an E minor chord. And what makes these two chords different, let me play them so you see what they sound like. Make sure it's not on too loud. So that's the E chord. Now E minor, you play by lifting up the finger, so it's like. You hear how there's a difference? And where that difference lies in the 3rd tone in our scale. So to play an E major, you're making that G sharp. To play a minor, you are flattening that note or taking it down 1/2 sorry, again the cold. You take it down 1/2 step, so that becomes a G. So you go from an E minor to a let me turn the distortion off just for a second so you can hear a little bit clearer what it sounds like. I know I'm a bit of a rocker kind of guy, but you know, let's do this. Okay, I'll just plucking on the strings, making sure we're getting plenty of volume coming out of it, and my strap is always wrapping around stuff. I hate when it does that. So anyways, like I was saying, you have the E major. I'll play it for you real quick here. That's an E major. And now listen to this. Do you hear the difference? There we go. Sometimes that G string gets kind of pesky. So you have the E. I'll play it really slow. And that is an E major chord. And then if I play the E minor, I lift up this finger here off the G sharp, turn it into a G. Hear the difference? It's a very slight difference. It's very, very, very slight difference. But when you're playing power chords, you're just playing the root note, which is the E, and then you're playing the fifth. So count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you always count that first note you're rooting is your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a B. So I play that B, but I can't play them on the same string. Remember we learned that we have a B on the second fret of the A string? So this is what it sounds like. Instead of just... You hear the difference there? Has a little bit more punch to it. Because what we're doing is we are playing that fifth tone. Okay. So we are playing, let me use the blue so you guys can see a little bit better. So this is our neck diagram. I am playing the E open for that. And then I am playing the B right here. And like I said, if you find your root, which we know for right now, this chord that we're playing is an E chord. And to play a power chord, we find the root, which we did, the open E, and then we find the fifth, which is our B note, and it's always going to be one string higher and 2 frets down, except for when you get to the B string. Things get kind of weird because of the tuning of the guitar. But for the bass and the guitar, the lowest 4 strings, the E, the A, the D, and the G, you can play these power chords using this formula. You find the root, and then you just go to the 1 string down and count up, and you'll always be at the fifth. Let me show you. Let me show you something. So anyways, like I was saying, you got the And what's nice is you don't have to worry about the E minor and the E major. That's why this is used so much in rock and blues and everything else. It's like it has that punch. And again, it's just the open E and the. So now, if I want to play a G power chord, I'll move that. I will play the G on the 3rd fret. We already talked about that, and I will go down one string onto my A string. Play that at the 5th fret because I'm playing the G on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, and then I will just move that down to play, and that note is a D, not versus. And you see how it has like that driving force, that power behind it? And that's just with my amp clean. If I punch on the distortion, it's just like, it's like rock and roll, dude. So I will show you on the board here what I'm talking about. So that was a G power chord that I was playing for you guys. So we'll erase this. Our formula still stays the same. The whole, half. Sorry. Whole, half, whole. That will be staying the same. We'll erase these because we have to write it over again because we're starting with the first note of our scale being a G now. And this thing's kind of rickety. I got to figure out something better to do with this than just using my music stand for this with just a clamp on the side. So anyways, so like I said, we're starting with the G as the 1. So we've got the G, and then we put our notes up here. A, B, C, D, E, F, and then back to G again. This pattern stays the same. You have each of the notes written out. And again, it starts with A and then repeats itself. And it only goes from A to G. And your first note will be where your starting point. So we go from G. Let me get the guitar again. I'm getting ahead of myself. So I will go from G, like I said, on the 3rd fret. You see that all right? Okay, there's G on the 3rd fret. And then we go 1, 2 for the A, which is here. And then we go a whole step for the B. So we go. And so far, nothing's changed. This has stayed the same, this stayed the same. So we go half step for a C. Hey! The C has stayed the same. So now we go a whole step. D has stayed the same. We go a whole step to the E. I'm right there at the E. And then we get a whole step between the E and the F, so we do that. Oh wait, that's a different note there. That's an F right there. So that is actually an F sharp. So, okay. So now we know that this is an F sharp. And the G is just going to repeat itself. So we only have one note that changes. And those are called accidentals when they change like that. You have the note there that has changed. So then we go ahead and play a G major. I'll play it across the strings so you can kind of get an idea of what it sounds like. When you start practicing these scales, you can practice them on one string, practice them across the neck, practice them different ways so you can learn what the notes actually physically sound like. Let's go G, A, B, C, D, E, G, F sharp, E, D, C, D. So you hear that? And that major scale has a distinct sound. It has a bright sound, a happy kind of sound. So you see this. So now getting back to the power chord will be in the root in the fifth. We know that our root is G because that's what we started with. So we count the notes in the scale. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is the fifth note in the scale? Is a D, which is right here. And we know it's also open here. It's here. And it has that extra drive to it. So now we can take this into some other patterns and stuff. So since we talked about it last time, we learned the C chord. Let's learn the C and the D power chords, shall we? Yes, we shall. Okay. So we know we're going to start with C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And we know that and that are going to stay the same. They're not going to change. So we get the guitar out one more time. One more time. I should probably just leave it around my neck, but I don't know. I like taking it off and on. It makes me feel important, all right? So anyways, you've got the C to the D, which we know is one step. It's a whole step. And then from the D to the E is another whole step. So it goes. And then you have a half step, which is the F. And then a whole step to the G. And then a whole step to the A. And then a whole step to the B. And a half step to the C. And we know when we talked about this before, if you remember, that there's no changes. All those notes stayed exactly the same. But now we use this pattern here, like I said. You find the root, and then you go one string down, and then you find the fifth of that scale. So we have our C note here that we learned on the fifth string, third fret. I know when I was showing you guys walking down, but since I'm sliding up, my first note that I'm playing of the chord is going to be with my index finger. So that'll be on the third fret of the fifth string. And like I said, we go down one string, so we drop down to the fourth string. And we go 1, 2, a whole step there. So our ring finger will be on the fourth string, fifth fret, and our index finger will be on the third fret of the fifth string, playing our C power chord. Just those two notes, C and the G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you got that. We're actually starting to play something that's kind of musical now. It's exciting, huh? So anyways, we've got that. We figured out that the fifth of this in the C major scale is that G note there. So let's go ahead and erase this and take it into D, since we learned that chord already. That was the one, if you remember, looked kind of like a triangle, the way you hold your fingers. It looks a lot like a triangle. So again, we just put our notes here. We know we're starting with D. Go D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Okay, fix that. Make it not quite so sloppy. I get in a hurry, and I know sometimes it gets kind of sloppy. And I apologize for that. So anyways, we go from here a whole step. So we go D, and we count on our fingers, you know. It goes D, D sharp, E. And then we know it goes E, and then F and F sharp. So you're going 2 steps. So let's say F sharp. So you know this is gonna be an F sharp. And if you remember when we played the chord, we talked about the third on a major chord being that F sharp note. And then we go from half step to the G. And then it's a whole step between the G and the A. And then a whole step to the B. And then it says a whole step from the B to C. But if you remember before, C is only a half step. So going a whole step is going to change this to a C sharp. And it's kind of like a hashtag sign. It looks kind of sloppy. I apologize. So what we'll do is, remember, I'll play the standard D chord for you guys so you guys can remember what that looked like. It was a triangle like this. Remember, it was like the first finger was on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Your middle finger was on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then your index finger was on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. So that's your F sharp, which is right there. And there's your D, which is your root note or your tonic note. And then you have your A. So to play a D chord, you're all. Sorry, it keeps kind of going in and out a little bit. So anyways, you've got your D chord, which you can play your open 4th string against the A on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. You can play it there, just like that. Or you can play it on the 5th fret of the 5th string, and then you play your other one, going 1 string down, a whole step up here. And you'll notice if you play on the lower strings, the thicker strings, and just move up on the neck, you'll notice it has it has a much fuller sound to it. This sounds okay. But this sounds, it just has a little. It just has that a little bit more drive on those lower strings. Just kind of gives that extra punch that you need. So when you're playing different stuff. So like I was saying, you find the root, and then you just go down 1 string, and then a whole step. So it's like anywhere. We'll start with this note here. Just go. My eyes are closed, and that happens to be an E right there. And we'll be learning these notes higher up on the neck. So, but what we do right now is just go down. That's on the 7th fret of the 5th string. So I go down to the 4th string, and I go 1, 2, put my ring finger on the 9th fret of the other one, and see how it just adds a little bit extra something instead of just playing this note here. It just adds that extra punch that makes rock music so exciting. You know, and if you guys like other kinds of music, they use that a lot in pop and stuff too. But it's something that's really simple, basic, easy to play. You can impress your friends starting right now. Get your guitar, make sure it's in tune, play an open 5th string. It's an A, and then you put your finger on the 2nd fret, your first finger here, on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So that is an A power chord. Now watch this. You go A, and then I like to do that because I play with my index finger, and I can just slide down here, play this C power chord, and slide it down to D. So you go. Then you go D sharp. And that's not exactly the right key it's in, but it'll just give you something to kind of practice as you're playing power chords. Another thing too, that classic hit from the 70s, Iron Man, that everybody goes, dude, you play guitar. Do you know Iron Man? Now, I'm going to show you how to play Iron Man. It does a thing here on the G string. They drone it. They go. They do a big old bend. Little bit of vibrato. And then with this guitar, it kind of goes out of tune a little bit. Let me fix that. There we go. See you later. And then just the main part of it is an A chord, like I showed you right now, to C, to D. Then it goes, slides way down here to F sharp, back to E, and it goes like this. It goes back just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. It goes. I am on the C, on the 5th string. I am on the G note of the 4th string at the 5th fret. So it's A power chord, C power chord, G power chord, and then it slides up here to an F. So it goes. So, you got that? It goes A, C, C. It goes A, C, 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 D. Try it again. A, C, C, D. So just once on the A, twice on the C, twice on the D. So play it again. So it goes A, C, D, D, A, C, C, D, D. So that's the first little section that you hear, you recognize like right away. Go, dude, that's Iron Man. I know that song. Now you do. Now you guys do. Now the next part, it goes a little bit higher up the neck. It goes like this. So you're playing an F to an E, and you're sliding back and forth. So you go. Then it goes back to the C. So it goes F, E, F, E. Then it goes C, C, D. It goes. See that? Move the camera back just a little bit so you can see it better. Alright, so, like I said, so I'm playing an A. You gotta get that slide in there. You can pick it right now. That's what I'm doing because I'm playing it slow so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, there we go. Turn my camera around, maybe it'll stay recording a little bit longer. So like I was saying, you can find a nice tone that you like with your amp, and you can practice doing your power chords. And then some amps will have distortion built in. You might have to tweak it a little bit. This amp I have back here has distortion. Or you can get a little pedal. They call them stomp boxes. They have overdrives, distortions, and fuzzes, which are the main three kind for getting an edgier sound, what they call dirt. So let me flip the switch on this amp and you'll see how much different it sounds. It sounds a lot different than going... Listen to this. You can already tell it sounds a lot better, huh? So he goes doing that again, going... And what I like to do is I like to keep my palm resting on the string so you don't ring out. See if I lift it up, watch. It kind of rings out. I just kind of stop the vibration, I mute them. And then another thing I do too to add a little bit of extra chunk is I do palm muting, where I use the edge of my hand palm like that on the strings and it goes. So it kind of muffles the strings, kind of deadens them to... Just a little bit different stuff you can do to kind of give it a little bit more bite to when you're playing. But if I lift it up and just play Iron Man like I've been showing you, and you hear how I did the slides? I didn't do this when I got to here. I wasn't going... I wasn't picking the sliding part. The everything else I was picking, but the sliding part I wasn't going to. Again, I'll show it where you can see it. It's another thing too you can kind of use when you're playing power chords. Spice it up a little bit. Go like... I'm just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the fifth one I'm lifting up. You can practice different things. And here it kind of... It just makes the strings go chunk-a-chunk, but it's like... So you're still getting the tone of the note, even though, but it's just deader. It's not ringing out all the way. It's more percussive, and a lot of bands will do that. And that you see what you probably recognize a lot of those songs. See how it kind of changes things up, and you know, incorporate that in your playing. work on this, have some fun while you're playing. We'll get back more into some more technical stuff next time. But, you know, have some fun with those power chords. I mean, you can always play a D. Or you can play a D. Hear the difference? Or you play an E. It has that extra punch. So anyways, keep working on it, keep practicing. Most of all, have fun, because if you're not having fun, it's not worth doing. You know, if you're not having fun, find something else to do. Have a great night. I will see you guys real soon. Bye-bye.